Hello and welcome. My name is Natty Cash, and we're going to try something different today. We are taking a look at a video game called Asbury Pines. It's a very interesting game. If you've ever played an idle automation game or an incremental game, that's what this is. I know that me playing a video game is very different to the stuff that I normally make, but I thought I would try this out. It's a very interesting game. And so what we're going to do is we're going to jump in and we're going to start a new game. And we're going to then take a look around. I'll explain some of the things that we are seeing here and get into some of the story that's part of this game. So we'll start a new game here. Yes, we'll talk about all the things that are unlocked here, but let's go from here. Welcome to the present, 2025. Asbury Pines is a quiet town nestled in the thick of a vast pine forest. You blink and you'd miss it. Its exit off the old Route 25. And you'd never know the place ever existed, but life as we know it hums along here in the heart of America. In many ways, the town appears as familiar as it is forgettable. What sort of destiny can this place ever hope to hold? Click Live Life on the Sheriff to begin unlocking a story, a thread in a grand tapestry. As more towns, characters emerge, have them scavenge resources, work to refine those resources, and convert the refined resources into experience that enables you to unravel more of their lives. So here we have is the present, which gives us an indicator that we will not always necessarily be in the present, so that'll come later. But as we take a look here, we start off, we have these characters here. So this is part of our people tab. We have this character here, Sheriff Buzz Snow. We can click on him and he's got some abilities here. So not too great at a number of things, decent at artifacts and governing though. Sheriff of Asbury Pines. And so what it wants us to do is it wants us to hit this live life. It's going to take some time to do that and spend some experience, but we do have some experience up here, as you can see. So we're going to hit that, and every 2 seconds this turns through and slowly progress. As it progresses, it's going to get to this little event marker, which then we are going to be able to stop and read. So we're going to pause this for a moment and take a look. There's also a new artifact, the gas station, some other things that are unlocked, which we will take a look at in a moment. But to start us off, we're going to look here and it says, Snakes in hell. When did it get this bad? Can't even grab a coffee from Asbury Gas without folks snickering or punks recording me from behind my back. Like I'm some buffoon about to walk on a banana peel. Headlines tore me to shreds after my shooting accident, and that dumb internet video made me into a joke, a meme or whatever. No one expects me to fill my father's shoes anymore. My pa, the great Aldous Snow, legendary lawman, hotshot gunslinger, bringing justice to the worst of them. I look around, not a lick of respect for me or my sheriff's badge. Maybe that's the world telling me to turn it in. So a little story about Rodney Buzz Snow here that we get to get a little bit of backstory about him specifically. But as we can see, there's many other tabs that are here, and we start fairly slow here. We eventually will talk about production. I'll come back up to this for a moment. But here we are at the People tab, and we see this. We will always want to try to have our characters live life, and that'll allow them to progress, and we start to unravel some more of the story. There are animals and plants as well, but we haven't really unlocked anything. Eventually, we're going to then unlock stories. As you can see, we've unlocked 1 out of the 315. And we see that that's the very first story that we've unlocked so far. As we go through, there are going to be then a number of things we want to do. We want to be able to scavenge, work, and also deal with some artifacts here. So Sheriff Snow's coffee mug we'll get to as well. Working will help to provide some resources in the game. Currently, as we take a look at the resources in the production flow, we have access to 5 different resources. So we've got food, experience, wood, oil, and money. And we'll need those eventually. The main thing we want to be able to build is get experience so that we can unravel the story that's in front of us. There are also a number of perks here as well, and we'll kind of look at those a little bit later. But there's some perks that we can do in science, in government, and in religion as well. So let's come back to our story here, Sheriff Buzz Snow. We're going to then continue to have him live life, and we're going to unveil another story piece here. But slowly, we're going to then be able to build something here. We're going to be able to do a number of different activities, but we're going to start spending our experience here just to get him rolling here. So we don't have much left, but I think we'll have enough just to unlock this little piece of story right here. So there we go. We've unlocked a story. We've also unlocked a new character. But let's start by looking at the story here. So Sheriff Buzz Snow says, "Gotta get a handle on Romina. Maybe come down hard on these social workers that keep shrugging her off. Her schizophrenic meltdowns are raising hell, damaging property all of a sudden, and it feels like only a matter of time until she hurts someone. I jailed her for a night, maybe the third time in a month. She was smashing beer bottles on the stop sign near the Praetus' house, yelling about Beelzebub and demons and a reckoning to the one-eyed angel. Poor Everly Praetus. Her voice shaking on the phone. Romina's gonna sleep off the booze and start hollering apocalypse at sunup. As usual, she's out at dawn and running off into Pine Hills Park, God knows where. The town is riding my hide about getting her off the streets permanently. She's a piney, though. One of us Asbury people for decades now. What do we got if we don't take care of our own? But she's never been this bad." So interesting. We've got a couple other characters being introduced here, but we don't see them right now. All we see is Wilma Truitt. So again, you can click on her and we can see a number of different stats, so on. So high in religion and kind of a little bit in everywhere else. But we can't progress with Sheriff Buzz Snow anymore. And so I can hit him to go idle. And I actually can't live life anymore because I actually don't have any more experience to spend. Because as you can see, there is a little story bug in here for Wilma. So what I'm going to have to do is I'm going to have to start doing some other activities here. So we can go to scavenging, and scavenging starts off as, right, we can then collect these certain outputs. So if I send a character in to scavenge, we're going to get some money and a little bit of wood. And so maybe I'll start off with that. Wilma's a little higher skill at this, so I'm going to send her in there initially to start scavenging. And away she goes. And you can see that this will get progress, which potentially when that's completed will unlock some more stuff for us. Then we go to work. We have the old self-serve gas station, but it's not built yet. We need to have 30 wood and $100, so we're going to have to let Wilma scavenge a fair bit. Then we have our natural locations. This is essentially what we're going to need to get our experience. So at Pine Hills Park, we have oil and we have food. This one also has its progress bar, able to unlock some story elements here as well at Pine Hills Park. But we're going to have to wait on that until we know how can we produce oil or how we can get food. And then finally there's artifacts. Artifacts seem to be kind of these one-time bonuses that we can build and kind of get some quick cash or quick items. In this case, Sheriff Snow's coffee mug. We can take a look and see. Now, not every character is going to be able to look at these artifacts, but Buzz can. And that's going to probably be the best thing for us. We'll get this injection of cash in here. So we're going to let him roll on that at the moment. So right now, if I go back to the people here, we can see these two are rolling along here. He's examining that item there. Eventually, when that's done, we're going to be able to maybe build and take a look at unlocking this here as well. All in the process to eventually get Pine Hills Park going here. So we'll have to, again, it's slowly and incrementally doing this process. And as we look at the artifacts, it's actually not taking that long. He's only got about 16 seconds to unlock this here. We also get a little bit of information here when we unlock this as well. So we'll just take a moment and wait on this here and see what we can do. Eventually, as we unlock this, right, so it finishes, we get this this $100 and 30 wood. This little beauty comes to life every morning at 7:30 a.m. and never fails to bring a little comfort. So, now that we got those resources, let's maybe take a look at this work tab. Oh, and it looks like we actually have enough, so now we can start actually building this. Wilma's still gathering, and she's probably actually better at building, but I am going to put Buzz here, and I'm going to hit it into build. And so it's going to then slowly tick its way forward and build that as well. So again, right, looking back here, we've got some scavenging going on, we've got some building going on, and that's kind of slowly as our way of progressing here. So what I can do though is if I had enough resources, right, I could say I want to pull her off of there. I can go to the work tab and I can assign her here as well. And then that just means this is going to build that much faster. So you can see now the time has actually gotten lower. So now it's just 18 seconds because they're working together to build this. And I don't know if it's actually related to, like, it is connected to their work skill. But here we go. We're going to get it built. And then right away we're going to end up having access to it. So we finished the Asbury gas station. So what we can do, now it says there's an input. So as long as I can put $1 in, I'm going to get 1 food and 1 oil. So what we're going to want to do is make sure that we're still scavenging here. I'm going to actually, I'm going to leave Wilma here for now. And then from here, I can put Buzz in, and now he's going to produce that. And you can see here, you could try to min-max it a little bit where Wilma, every 2.7 seconds, this is going to tick by. Although I will say there's only a 70% chance that they actually collect resources from here. So some of these may fail. You'll see sometimes where this bar goes across, but this won't progress at all. And it's because it actually hits the not fulfilled there. And then here, every time this goes by, we're producing food and oil. And again, you can see that the numbers are ticking up here when I hover over it. We can also look at the production flow here as well, and we get a summary of Wilma working here in the neighborhood, scavenging, and Asbury Gas producing the skills here. And we can keep track of some of the resources that are happening there. So what we're going to have to do is we're going to have to kind of allow this to run a little bit until we have enough barrels and meat here. So we're going to take a little bit of a pause. I'm going to then kind of fast forward to then when we start working on this and we start getting experience to advance the story. So I've let a little bit of time pass here, and we see I've got Sheriff Buzz Snow working to build some experience, so I'm going to let that run a little bit. In this Pine Hills Park, we do have a couple little stories. So I have unlocked the first one, so we'll read that while this is running. Life in Pine Hills Park. The sun winks through the pines, scattering beams on the ferns below. Retired couples, active parents, and idle minds wander peacefully along the many trails. They move like monorails, never deviating, making scheduled stops to open their eyelids and peer out at a sequence of views and vistas. Creatures of the pines avoid the monorail of humans and live hard lives of competition amongst themselves. And so as this progresses, this is going to kind of continue along this way. So coming back here, we've now got enough resources here as he's exploring. I'm going to then have Wilma run and live her life here and see if we can trigger this first memory of hers. One thing to note here as we look at this is that this is actually producing in chronological order. So this is earlier and this is then later as we move to the right. Wilma here not only has unlocked this, but we've unlocked another person here. So I'm going to get them set up so that they can keep working here. We also have some artifacts released here as well. So let's take a look here. This is stopped, so we're going to sort that out right away here. But we also have Romina's ratty coat. And actually, there isn't anyone that can work that right now. So I'm going to then let that be. But I'm going to set up to try to keep going here. So Alvin looks like he can scavenge, so I'm going to actually set him up to scavenge. And then I'm going to set up Wilma's the best here to work. And then eventually, Buzz, I'm going to have you set up here. So eventually, we'll have enough resources there to go. So let's take a look at Wilma's story here. Lord Almighty, hear my prayer. Sweet Lord Jesus on the cross, I'd like to offer today's prayer to Romina. She came into the gas station drunk again and loafed around while arguing with them, voices in her head, smelling like something awful in her ratty coat. It took all my strength to remain polite and firm, even though she was cussing, throwing an imaginary fit in front of customers. Shameful! I gave her a free cup of coffee to get her to leave. But boy, how I wanted to slap some sense into her, tell her to get like a mangy cat. I had these terrible thoughts of, wanting her to, I suppose, join you in heaven? Peacefully, of course. She's in pain. Everyone knows she chose drugs over salvation, and that's why she's lost. And I realize I gotta pray and hope and remember the story from the book of Mark where Jesus touches and heals the leopards, though even the lepers had the respect to live away from the normal townsfolk. Romina doesn't seem to care about anyone but herself. Plain selfish. Why won't she pull herself out of the bottle? Why put problems on the others? We all got our own. Doesn't she have even a pea-sized sense of decency? Lord help me, she really does boil my goose. So Wilma's got a lot of opinions about this Romina, and maybe we'll meet her along the way somewhere. But we do have another one here, so Mayor Alvin is ready here as well. We could get him rolling here, so I'm going to then switch things around. But I think we also have, before I move things, there's another story here for Pine Hills Park, so we're going to read that as well. The casual hum of the park often dissipates quickly and gives way to peaceful, unpopulated nights. As the sun drops, cool pockets of air settle down between the hills, eventually growing into roving bands of fog that stifle light and sound. To the paranoid, the park is loud. To the calm-hearted, the park is silent. Each night, the will of the pines fights back against relentless human expansion. New ferns blossom, earthworms rebuild, and trees sprout buds. Despite all its pain, the forest chooses not to give up. So again, now this is fully done, but I can still have the sheriff run through this. But I'm going to actually shift that. I'm going to relieve the mayor here and put Buzz in here to scavenge again. And then I can have the mayor live his life, and we can start to see what his initial story is. So Mayor Alvin Van Eisen II is what we have here. You'll see that blocked symbol come up every once in a while. That's just because we've either had to stop for some reason, like we have here, or the resource is gone, and so we can't run that anymore. So I'm gonna then set Mayor to idle until I read this little article here. There is a difference between the regular stories and the community. Community usually relates to more of an overarching story, might have a more effect moving forward, where stories are kind of someone's individual notes here. So let's get the mayor set up again here. I'm going to go back to having him scavenge, and then, I guess it doesn't really matter, but I guess we'll put Buzz back here for a moment. And then we can go ahead and read this here. Mayor Van Eisen vetoes Asbury Prison Rehab Clinic project. Mayor Van Eisen has vetoed the town council's budget proposal to build a small alcohol and drug rehabilitation clinic on the grounds of the abandoned Asbury Prison. A community effort has gained widespread council approval after an impassioned speech by Sheriff Buzz Snow, which is this guy up here that we've been talking to. My thoughts and prayers go out to those in pain, but think about it, folks. A rehab facility would make this town a haven for addicts and the dealers that follow them, the mayor told the press. Not on my watch. My priorities are hardline community safety, which is achieved by my ANIS program. I think that's meant to be a funny thing here. Arsenals, nanotech intelligence, and survey resources for local law enforcement. Besides, the Church of St. Francis already runs an excellent counseling program founded on faith. Sheriff Snow declined to comment on this development. So we're going to actually leave it there. This is kind of just an initial part into our story here. If you'd like to follow along, I'm going to do many more videos. And if you like this kind of content, please like and subscribe. And we will see you next time in Asbury Pines.